It couldn't be any easier. They even have attorney help if you need it through their legal plans. That's available in most states. Start your business and protect your family today at LegalZoom.com. You also get a special discount from your listening to this podcast. Make sure you enter MOHR in the referral box at checkout for more savings. LegalZoom.com is not a law firm. You can get self-help services at your specific direction, or you can speak with a legal plan attorney to get your questions answered and get ongoing advice. LegalZoom.com, enter more. Now, you got like Muay Thai people you've worked out politicians, you've worked out actors and actresses to get in shape for films, right?
Remotely. I've football players too. Actually, there's a guy from the this was Green Bay Packers. He was a defensive lineman who wanted to lose like 20, 30 pounds to increase his agility. So I've worked with some of those guys too, but it's always on a very informal basis. Just sort of on a friend to friend kind of thing. I've never done it.
And what, do you still live in Jersey? Are you a Princeton guy through and through? Or are you in LA?
God, I had to escape the East Coast, man. I was always on the East Coast. I'm in San Francisco. I've been in the Bay Area for 12 years now.
Love it.
Yeah, great city.
So it seems to be your whole MO is getting people to have quality time, not quantity time, across the board, whether it's cooking, working out, or their work week. Your whole message is, hey, dial it back. You guys are working far too much, which I think my listeners will be very happy to know that they're working entirely too hard, according to Tim Ferriss.
I think the too much is key. I mean, I have no problem with hard work as long as you're applying it pretty surgically to the right places. And at least in my own personal experience, because I'm hardwired to be a workaholic, it's something I have to constantly manage. It's very easy to fool yourself into believing you're being productive by simply being busy. And there's a huge difference between the two. And I think that, right. So for me personally, when I'm at my laziest, my default is to work on everything I can possibly think of.
Right.
And I end up doing a lot of work, but I'm not, for instance, doing any analysis of the 20% of activities or products or services or customers or whatever that are producing 80% of the results that I want. That's why I schedule twice a month. Like every other Monday, I sit down and I do an 80-20 analysis that's related to.
Is that other Princeton stuff you're talking about?
No, this is old. This is 1800s.
I'm a pothead comic. Help me. What does that mean?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you.
An 80-80-20 analysis?
No.
An M80 explosion?
We're having a memento moment. I like
these
this.
fart jokes? What's happening? What did you just say?
This 80-20 analysis just means that you're asking a few very simple questions, in my case, every 2 weeks. For instance, what are the 20% of activities and people in my life right now that are producing 80% or more of the results that I want, the positive emotions that I want? And then you would look at, let's say, ask yourself the converse, which is what are the 20% of the activities and people in my life that are creating 80% of the headache, consuming 80% of my time? And then you just create a to-do list and a not to-do list based on those lists.
So you can even do the 4-hour trimming friends that aren't productive for you. It's almost,
that's right.
It's like an efficient ruthlessness.
Yeah.
But to benefit you. So it's not really ruthless. In a way, you are a complete project manager of you being the project. You're the project, and you need to twice a month look and say, who's not pulling their weight in the Tim Ferriss business?
And that's important so that you can pull.
Is that accurate?
It's accurate.
Okay.
It's very important to do that so that you can pull the most weight. So it can be seen as like a Randian sort of selfish act, or you can look at it in a very different way and say, if I'm not applying my strengths to where they count the most for the greatest good, I'm not only going to be ineffective for myself, but for my family, for fans, for the people around me, whatever. So I think it's an important step. One of my favorite quotes is actually from Bill Cosby. People ask me like, what's your favorite quotes? What are your favorite quotes? What have you learned in the last few years? And I heard him interviewed at one point. He said, I know there isn't one path to sure success, but there's one path to sure failure, and that's trying to please everybody.
Right.
And I need to remind myself of that because I like to be liked, like most people, I think. Yeah. And it's really easy to just say yes to everything and everyone and end up so that you no longer control your time. And email becomes, for instance, everyone else's agenda for your time. And it's a noisy world. So anyway, I find the 80-20
well, I'm a comic.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and you can help me. I'm very. It's a monastic life where you drive alone.
Yeah.
You go to it, and you show up someplace right when they start, and you walk on stage, and for an hour you do your business, and hopefully all hell breaks loose, and you go home.
Right.
So I don't know how maybe I'm the outlier, or maybe I'm not. Maybe you could help me. How would I apply the 80-20 to just doing stand-up comedy?
Same way you would apply it to book touring or to book launches. It would be the same process. So, for instance, I know based on my analytics in Amazon Author Central, I can look at the number of sales of my book in any given state or region. I can then identify if I'm going to do 2 or 3.
Are you a robot?
Cyborg, like Bishop.
You're like Data.
Aliens. Knife in the fingers.
Well played.
Thank you. I love that they use steady cams for the guns in that movie. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
No, don't worry.
It's all the goddamn green tea I IV into my system.
Doug Benson said they should call the show More Digressions.
I like that.
More stories.
I like that.
So what would I do to be in a more efficient comic using your 80-20 M80 study Princeton course?
Yes, so the M80 Princeton...
I'm not mocking you. I actually can't remember it.
Analytics. No. Let me think of a better way to put it. It's also known as Pareto's Law, if that helps. Maybe not.
Yeah, Pareto,
that guy.
Pareto's Retreat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pareto.
The philosopher.
Vilfredo.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm with you.
So the way you would apply it as a comic is, number one, recognizing that I think getting an understanding of why you do what you do. Because I think that from what I understand, and I'm not a psychoanalyst, but a lot of comics are comics because they either enjoy or feel driven to participate in the process of getting up on stage and doing their thing. Right? If the goal is to maximize revenue, then you create products out of what is a service, i.e. going up on stage, which doesn't scale very well. Right? But if you're able to create a product like Louis C.K. and sell it directly to fans, not only can you keep the lion's share of the margin of that product, but secondly, you can gather data on your fans, and you can understand exactly where they're located, how to best reach them, at which point you can do all sorts of things. So from an income standpoint, you could absolutely take what you do and scale it really effectively, I think, because you're a content creator at the end of the day.
It seems like that's what Twitter should be.
Mm-hmm.
But Twitter seems to have like a 10% accountability rate. Like if you have 100,000 Twitter followers and post a photo, 3,000 people look at it. And you think, well, what are the other 70, I didn't even get that number right. Boy, you make me feel stupid, you best-selling prick. The book is The 4-Hour Chef, and he also has... But this is, let's just push this on the... So what about selling T-shirts? If I'm standing in the lobby, that's the new thing. We have More Stories T-shirts, and I'll sell them. And sometimes I feel like, wow, I just did an hour and 10 minutes of comedy. And hypothetically, you get a standing ovation. Mm-hmm. Now I'm in the lobby like, $20, get your T-shirt. Right. And it's kind of it's actually embarrassing.
Yeah.
But then I realized they're not, I'm doing my 80-20 right now. I realized out loud to you.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, you're doing it.
I realized they're not buying
That's in the 20% that you probably don't want to do.
They're not buying, but it's effective because they're not buying the T-shirt, they're buying the handshake.
Right. But do you want to be in the handshake business?
I do if they're coming back the second time I come to town, because they'll never miss it, because I met that guy. He's really cool. He's not like the other comics I saw. Right. I met him and talked to him.
Well, this is speaking as someone who, I don't do a lot of book signings.
No, I don't want to be in the handshake business.
No, I ask that seriously because if I do a book signing, like I will stay for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours until everyone has had their book signed. If they waited in line for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, I will wait until every single person is done. However, I do that because I feel an obligation to my readers for having given me the career that I have. On the other hand, for revenue, I won't, that is not financially motivated. But I would suggest, rather than T-shirts, if you want to model T-shirts, you can look for the greatest successes like Tap Out shirts. Look at how they built that. Look at how they scaled it. Look at how they sold it, or a majority interest to
It's a picture
UFC.
of a bulldog with his dick out wearing a crown.
Yeah, that's a powerful imagery, right?
Right, but it's not exactly what I want to sell. No. I'm talking about my 2 sons.
No. But you don't have to. You don't have to make fake mustache affliction shirts.
Yeah.
But they're in the apparel business, right? You can also look at companies nearby, like American Apparel, and how they actually promote things effectively. You should have a friend of mine on the show, actually, named Ryan Holiday. He runs marketing for those guys. But what I would suggest is look at how view yourself more broadly as a content creator, and look at how people are creating higher priced products with higher margins. Let's say $100, $200, where you're taking home 80, 90% of that. And you could do, best of with sort of director's commentary. You could do this even with a podcast. Right. You take sort of the best of episodes, and then you have like your 5-minute wrap up thoughts, further thoughts on episodes, and add in some type of digital bonus that you can incorporate into that. Sell for $150. The fact of the matter is you will have fewer customers, but they will be less headache, and you'll have fewer fulfillment issues and whatnot to deal with. So I really like the sort of $150 to $250 price range for a lot of reasons.
Well, the problem with that in this model, in the podcast model, is the podcast is free. Mm-hmm. And even if you charge for back issue orders,
yep.
I mean, literally, you keep 50 posted at one time.
Yeah.
But you go anything past that, you have to pay $2.99.
Yep.
And people tweet like, "You son of a bitch. We knew you were going to fuck us. We knew it." And I'm like, are you guys out of your minds? There's 1,000 hours of content right now on iTunes for free.
Here's my general, this is the Ferriss law of the internet, is that, a few laws. Number one, of every 1,000 people, at least one will be totally batshit crazy. And have
one.
At least.
How about 901?
No, and have infinite time. So that's problem number one. Number two,
you have much different fans than I do.
No. That's at least. That's an at least.
I get a completely inverse
when I say
reality
batshit crazy,
I know exactly
we can
what
compare.
You mean.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna come to your show and choke you out in a guillotine.
Yeah, exactly.
In my affliction shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. You stole.
But
that,
I think I'm Batman, and added on top of that.
And the CIA's after me, Styles.
Oh, I get those too. I have somebody calling me from prison. He's called me twice a week from a payphone in a prison for the last
actually Matty
month.
Boy. We've been putting you on for a while.
Damn it! I knew you sounded familiar. But the second part is important, which is that no matter what you write or put out, at least 10% will find a way to take it personally.
Oh yeah.
And you could price it for 2 cents, and you get the same number of people complaining. So my policy has been using higher priced products to filter out people who are high management. For instance, I have put up 400 to 500 posts for free on my blog, and some of these are very long, like 15 pages. I'll spend as much time on one of those as I would for a piece in the New York Times, and I don't charge for really anything. But when I do charge, I can charge a lot. And one of my favorite things to do, and this is true for all the books, is to run short experiments. I'll be like, you know what? I'll try this. If it doesn't work, who the fuck cares? Because the worst case scenario is so minimal. So at one point I decided, you know what? I'm going to see if I could put on a really high-end event. Don't know if I will. Haven't made any reservations. Haven't looked at locations. I'm just going to throw out a date and say, all right, guys, we're going to do an event on the future of content marketing. It's limited to this number of people. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this the most amazing event anyone's ever seen. I don't know how, but I will. I'm just going to charge an arm and a leg for it. And it was $7,500 a seat. If you signed up the first week, $8,500 a week a seat. If you signed up the second week,
right? So don't wait.
$10,000 if you signed up the third week.
You lose now.
And it's sold out in 48 hours from a 750-word blog post. Now,
how many seats?
120.
So you probably made like $10,000 at least.
I did all right. I did pretty well, and
I got rejected from community colleges, Tim.
No, the Princeton thing is a ruse. Let me tell you, there are so many dumbasses who go to Princeton and similarly impressive sounding places. It doesn't mean anything. What it means is you have a stamp on your forehead that allows you to get a very high paying slave job at an investment bank or a management consulting firm. It doesn't make people smart in the real world. I don't think automatically.
You make some girl's dad very happy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Jimmy went to Princeton.
I don't know.
Come on, son.
But then she'll be like, yeah, and he also injects stem cell growth factor imported from Israel into his spine, so he has downsides as well.
Are you injecting stem cell into your spine?
I did.
You just let that slip out here?
I did. It's a pickup line. I'm flirting with you. Again, I was trying to keep it under wraps.
I sleep on my stomach. Oh, God. So the 4-hour
I did that in the 4-hour body. I injected that stuff. But
really?
Yeah.
I'm all about that stuff. I'm all about the stem cell. I have a friend of mine, Scott Chesney. He's a motivational speaker in New Jersey. He's paralyzed from about his belly button down from just a freak thing. And he's all about stem cell, and I didn't know